Alright, so this should be my evaluation video to give you an idea of everything I did in media this year, what it involved in answering the questions we've been asked to answer. So I'm going to start with question 1, which was simply, what ways is my media product use, develop and challenge the forms and conventions of actual media products? And the first convention that I looked at, I'm going to look at, is the content. My music video falls into the rock genre when it comes to music because of the song that I chose. The genre therefore carries several stereotypes of its own, the first being a heavy emphasis on solo performance, band performance, mainly the lead singer and the drummer for that matter. This helps to sell the band as well as the song. My video does this, but yeah, it includes whole segments of just my face singing or my drummer drumming. These recurring segments are very common in the rock genre. However, I tend to also focus a lot on my guitarists, more than most videos do. I also have many close-ups to show facial expression and emotion a lot more clearly than a lot of videos would. This is because my video includes a narrative story of myself committing suicide and my drummer Joe visiting my grave. This can also be seen as therefore challenging the convention. This is becoming increasingly common in rock music videos, but still isn't part of the stereotype. It's more popular for emotional videos of the genre, such as the actual video for the song that I chose, and therefore I felt like it was an appropriate thing to do. Another convention of the rock genre is the look of the band. The look is a big part of the genre. It's stereotypically band members have long or shaved hair, and wear worn out, torn clothing that are sleeveless, or jeans and dark trousers, mainly dark colours, mainly very, what could be seen as depressing, blacks and all this kind of thing. Our video doesn't fit that whatsoever. We challenge that stereotype quite fiercely. Our video shows the band in very smart, casual wear and clean clothing, with George, the guitarist, and myself actually having fairly short hair. We bend the conventions even more due to the fact we have a female in our band. Females are rarely associated with the rock genre whatsoever, and if they are usually vocalists or used for voyeuristic purposes. So it's unusual for a female to be playing the guitar at all, and not acting in a glorified voyeuristic manner, which I'll go into more detail about shortly. I had my reasons for creating the video this way though. The subject of the video is suicide prevention. I felt this was a message and a topic that needed to reach everybody, and therefore saw it best to have examples of as many types of people and their personal feelings and personalities in my video. To do this, I asked multiple people to show their emotions and feelings on A4 pieces of paper, written in their own personal handwriting, standing in a place that they thought was very important to them, for me to fit as many individual stereotypes into this video as possible. Having Joe, the traditional long-haired, very powerful drummer, myself coming across as a somewhat nerdy but emotional singer, George portraying the popular but focused guitarist, and Jenny to represent the girls and the softer emotional side that brings. All of this collectively is supposed to show that suicide is a topic that affects us all and should be fought by us all together. Another convention of the rock genre is voyeurism. The rock genre is fairly big on portraying women in a very sexual way. However, for me, this is an emotional video. It has a powerful message. Women wearing little clothing just wasn't needed for this video. It added nothing and would have taken away from a lot of the emotion and meaning of the video. This helps explain another thing for the genre, that the video has to match the lyrics and be about similar things. The song So Far Away was a good choice for a video about anti-suicide. It's a song about losing a friend and dealing with it, not about finding a woman. Camera techniques are different in rock music videos and some other genres as well, and my video both fits stereotypical camera shots and goes against them. In emotional rock songs there's plenty of close-ups and instrumental segments, and the band themselves are also shown quite clearly. Mine is an emotional song, and I chose to fulfill these shots rather than the other stereotypical shots of rock, such as low-angled shots for the band to be able to show power, or large amounts of lighting to glorify the band above everything else. Rock videos also tend to be edited in a very unique way. As Carol Bernard suggests, a music video is not the same as a film. It doesn't serve to tell a story regardless of how complex. It serves to promote both the song and the band that play the song it contains. Not only does the editing in a music video direct the flow of its narrative, it also influences non-narrative aspects and forms such structures on its own. Music videos ignore continuity editing because that would give the visual track too much power, too much influence, so much so that it might actually overpower the song. This is why music videos focus on disjunctive editing, breaking up very smooth narrative, so that the audience has to focus on the music as well as visual cues in order to regain orientation. Music videos therefore usually focus on cutting on the beat very heavily. I follow this all and cut at the pivotal points in the music. My main example of this is when I switch to the memory sequence during the video, such as the video actually does in the original So Far Away video. It's a very effective sequence of being emotional and of being directed by the song and not the other way around. This also serves as an example of how music videos tend to use very bold, obvious transitions over subtle ones. My video does this all the way through. Mise-en-scene tends to be quite popular in rock music videos as well. Dark backgrounds are used to indicate sadness, and blue backgrounds, freedom. They usually show a recurring theme in the video or the album that the song comes from. My video follows this in a way, so much so that my performance elements are all dark, and therefore continue to set an emotional feel generated by the narrative. Special effects weren't really an option for me. I struggled to use programs such as Photoshop or Adobe After Effects. Fortunately, they're not really seen that much in rock music videos anyway. In conclusion, my video fits most of the stereotypes of an emotional rock music video, such as that which it is, but consequently doesn't meet some of the other stereotypes, forms and conventions of the rock genre, because they weren't relevant or weren't able to be applied. Moving on to question 2. How effective is the combination of your main project and your ancillary tasks? Well, when it came to my ancillary tasks, I felt the theme of sadness and reminiscence had to continue through them. This, along with a digipack, Avenged Sevenfold's Nightmare, convinced me my digipack and release poster would have to be very dark, with isolated lights showing the will to survive. Also the impact of a soul. The fact I'd gone very spiritual with the idea of showing a soul to represent a life inspired me to find a place I saw as spiritual and religious as the background for my front cover. The local priory church seemed like the best option. I felt like shooting this shot at night from an angle where trees were in the way would hint at life and belief in yourself being concealed. It happened to be that a nearby light made the church slightly yellow, and I decided to actually increase this, as the yellow light seemed to create a very damaged purity effect. In hindsight, I wish I'd chosen another shot for this, for reasons I'll address when I talk about audience feedback later on, but it still provides a very solid image with relevance to the video through the colour scheme and the shining light in the dark. My inside front cover takes what I just said very seriously. I felt that a candle would be a great thing to represent the isolated light in the dark effect I was looking for. To me, candles express warmth and love, and light the way through dark times. However, I was unable to secure any kind of camera capable of taking a picture of just the candle flame and its wick, and therefore altered this to be a view from above the candle. It gives more of a feel of the light dominating and piercing through the darkness, overpowering it, which in a way is what the song's all about. This also encouraged me to surround the flame with single lyrics from the song in order to create even more of a link, in order to cancel out the darkness just a little bit more. My inside back cover was decided to be behind the CD itself. Along with the knowledge that I wanted the picture of a band in the digipack somewhere, altogether, I felt that putting this behind a disc would represent that there was actually light with your friends beyond the darkness, especially if I made the CD itself black. My back cover was created after much research into what a back cover usually contains. The most important thing usually is a track list of what's on the album. A friend made a suggestion to me to create a shot involving the A4 signs that I used to express opinions and emotion in the video. I thought it was a great idea and took it a step further, dimming the lights down on it and making the writing look very rushed and quickly written, giving the effect of a suicide note. However, the writing still had to be readable. This way it showed the chaos going through somebody's mind when they're considering suicide. And a light in the dark, albeit a dimmer light in this case. This slowly evolved into the paper being held by myself in the same way that I pick up my head and the tablets in the video. And the tip of the paper also represents the unstable state of mind. I then put the legal producer text and distributor logos and barcodes that are usually found on a digipack onto this in white text again to contradict the black and continue with continuity. This is my favourite side of the digipack and the favourite of my audience I gained feedback from as well, apparently. My release poster, I felt, had to bear more similarities to my digipack than the video. I therefore took the shot from my digipack I thought would look best on a release poster, which in hindsight might have been because I thought a band should be on its own release poster, which is stereotypical of most rock posters and digipacks that I've studied. I changed it to fit the measurements of a standard rock release poster. I then wrote the band name, album name, release date, and a little bit about a magazine review, and all the information about the producer and distributor in small print at the bottom. And the same font and style and positioning that I had done on my digipack, allowing the intended audience to link the two together. I feel that for the most part, the combination of my ancillary tasks and my main project is fairly effective. Themes remain constant, and colour schemes along with font, size and colour of text remain consistent as well. However, I do feel certain shots and bits of editing were rushed due to time constraints, along with the lack of proper management of my own time. And this could have been taken better or touched up or replaced with something else entirely should I had more time on my hands. Question 3. What did you learn from your audience feedback? I feel some of this has been addressed in the video so far already, but nonetheless, my audience feedback was incredibly helpful when it came to analysing my main project and ancillary tasks, and while making edits to them. The first audience feedback I carried out about what my video should contain before I even began the fabrication. The feedback was resounding. The video should contain lots of performance and headbanging and long hair, moshing, all these things that are stereotypical of a rock music video. I didn't feel this was right, so I thought I'd go back and clarify what song I was attempting to cover, asking for ideas from the same people I'd already asked. Opinions changed to focus mainly on sentimental stuff and a powerful message, but still having a focus on the band performing as one single entity. I'm really glad I carried out this feedback because it was the last little push that I needed to commit to my idea that I had in my head, knowing that others agreed it's what should be done. However, it was a feedback that also made me plan out the video with a greater emphasis on performance over narrative, conforming to rock stereotypes instead of challenging it. Considering I didn't really have my heart set on doing either of these, I felt that going with the common answer of my target audience was a better idea. I learned to follow the resounding opinion while trying to find appeal for my wider audience. My target audience was established to be listeners of the rock genre, but this quickly changed to include a bit of a sub-bracket, between the ages of 16 and 21. Why was this? I carried out audience feedback targeting my school to see what teenagers found emotionally affected them most. Death and suicide was the resounding answer, and this led me to do some research myself to find that suicide is most common in teenagers, and therefore I thought that the message needed to be pushed more towards them in order to increase the chances of the video actually preventing somebody from committing suicide. Teenagers began to become my target audience. This was backed by the fact that the song I chose was only a few years old, and therefore unlike people who listen to the likes of AC/DC and Iron Maiden, those who'd grown up with old school rock per se, would appreciate the song and consequently its video as much, if they'd even heard of it whatsoever. I'd learned that specific areas of my audience had to be taken into account before others. I carried out audience feedback mid-production. I fabricated the video up to about a minute and a half out of 5.5 minutes. I invited in a small group of teenagers that commonly listened to rock music, were vaguely aware of the conventions of music videos, and had also all had a close friend injured or died in an accident. To watch the video and share their thoughts, likes, dislikes and improvements to the video so far, and what they'd like to see in the rest of it. The videos of this are available on my blog. The last condition for this was not intended, and was purely by chance, but it did indeed seem to have an effect. I also invited in a few teenagers to view the work that listened to other genres of music in order to back up my previous thoughts. I established the following. My lip syncing did a lot of work, and was out of time more often than it wasn't. It was currently unclear to my audience as to why Joe was drumming away from the rest of the band. Camera angles were still repetitive and needed to alternate more regularly. The A4 signs were incredibly effective and struck home especially hard, making viewers remember similar times themselves. Instrumental sequences and narrative sequences alternated well, and most of the audience wanted to see more narrative and have their questions answered as to why Joe was drumming by himself, and as if the lead singer did actually commit suicide. This feedback allowed me to establish what I still wanted to do with what I'd created, and what things I had to draw more of an emphasis to, and also the things that I had to emphasise in the rest of my video. I'd learned where my weaknesses were and what changes had to be made. I set out about applying these changes. I didn't carry out any more audience feedback until the project was actually completed. I invited the same individuals that had viewed the clip earlier while it was in its production status to come back and watch the finished article, and asked them to answer the following questions. Had I successfully carried out the changes they thought needed to be made? Is the rest of the video what they expected it to be? If my video fit the conventions and codes of a rock music video, what they liked and disliked about the video and what they think should have been changed, if they thought the narrative overpowered the performance or vice versa, and what effect did the video have on them? Did they think the video was going to be capable of preventing somebody from committing suicide? The answers varied quite a lot, and several people selected elements they thought worked well and didn't, that didn't come up with any other individual. These were all taken into consideration, but most were not acted upon. However, the most common answers to those questions were yes. Changes that the audience pointed out had been made, with the exception of lip syncing on a specific part of the video that still needed to be touched up on. Yes and no. The video fulfilled everything and answered all the questions, but they didn't expect it to do it how it did. Most also did not expect the memory sequence whatsoever. Most agreed that the video fit the conventions of an emotional rock video, with the exception of dress and the female presence, as I've already explained. They also agreed, however, that showing the unity and different types of people coming together as a band was a fantastic idea and really helped to push the message. The memory sequence and A4 signs were the two things most highly praised. They were said to give a real feel of the singer's situation and everybody's feeling about that. The narrative was praised for giving a direct contrast to performance and building a story. Performance was criticised for looking rather amateurish at times in terms of lighting and setting, but it was praised for its accuracy. The performance tended to be overshadowed by the narrative due to the repetitive nature of the performance and certain shots having to be used twice. Not a bad thing, but it wasn't intended. The video made them feel bad for the singer, but it did inspire a few to write messages about suicide prevention on Facebook or blogs or similar things. One participant emphasised how she'd been reminded that people had it much worse than her, and that sometimes people just need someone to listen. This was all taken into account, and attempts were made to fix some of the issues that seemed to flaw the music video. I learned that my video gave the desired effect. The next session of audience feedback was carried out on my digipack slides before completion, and my promotional poster. I told my selected audience the following. They were still in their draft stages. Any and all feedback would be considered, so to please be as positive or negative as they liked, and that they had not been sized yet to the correct measurements. The feedback allowed me to establish what had been done to my ideas in order to make them appeal to my audience and stand out from the other similar ideas that were around them. The changes I made were evolved into my final ideas. This audience feedback can be found on my blog. In conclusion, my audience feedback helped me learn a lot. It helped me learn that my target audience were looking for certain things and what they believed needed to be shown. And it also helped me learn where I was making mistakes and how to go about correcting them. Question 4. How did you use new media technologies in the construction, research and planning and evaluation stages? My project as a whole required the use of a lot of technologies in which I was both familiar and unfamiliar with in order for me to create my final product. I'll start with the construction of my video. I was introduced to the Apple Macs in the school media department we had access to. I'd used them briefly last year, but I was now being introduced to all the complicated functions of the Mac and where everything actually was, such as USB ports, memory card slots, all the things that seemed fairly simple, but were all new to me and had to be learned. Most importantly, the Mac introduced me to the editing software in which I was going to be using to construct my project. The most recent version of the Apple editing software, iMovie. iMovie was a challenge to use in several ways. I had to learn how to use its functions to overlay shots, change opacities, insert pictures and clips, edit music and clip length and change coloration and to add effects, along with multiple other functions such as transitions and the other basics you need to know about software before you use it to edit. This led me to search for tutorials on how to use a program on another technology that I do know fairly well, the internet. Since I've used the internet before, I'm not exactly going to go into detail over it, as it isn't exactly a new media technology, but it did help me in evolving my understanding of the technology I was using. Things slowly became more simplistic due to the understanding I gained from the internet. Of course, to construct my video, I actually needed to film my video to begin with. To do this, I decided I wanted to take a step up from last year's AS work by investing in my own camera. The quality offered by the school cameras was not exactly fantastic. And although the camera I could afford to invest in wasn't exactly much better, the little subtle difference in quality really helped a lot. The side effect of this was that I had to learn all the new features of this camera and what it was capable of. This involved adapting to use touchscreens, along with being able to add effects to footage while filming. The camera was doubled up with a tripod, which, while not exactly anything revolutionary, served its purpose in allowing me to film shots that I was in, and by giving me a strong solid support for my camera when I needed it. The construction process of my ancillary tasks resulted in using a photo editing program known as Photoshop. Photoshop is something I was fairly familiar with in the past, but hadn't touched in a fairly long time. This meant I had to relearn the basics of using the program, from things as simple as building layers and adding text, and merging pictures and their colour schemes and the like. This also led me to finding tutorials over the internet, mainly on the website YouTube, which, while also knowing well from previous experience, has also aided me as another technology for me to use. The research and planning process of my project was done primarily online, using the internet and its vast quantity of websites available to browse, and no website in specific. However, I did also use the television in order to watch and write notes on music videos of the rock genre from channels such as Scuzz and Kerrang! I also used my phone as a mobile platform to continue studying these videos away from a computer, and also to gain access to the internet. Using my phone as a portable device to continue my work while on the move was a new thing to me, and therefore took some practice in working out programs and the apps I needed to actually do so. The evaluation process was aided by technology in several ways. Because my video had been uploaded to YouTube, I could watch it at my convenience. The same can be said about my audience feedback videos, which can be viewed from either the website reviewed from another website that helped me dramatically during my evaluation process. Blogger. Having all my work and research stored in one place with easy access allowed my evaluation to be written much more easily. These audience feedback videos were also filmed via camera in the Max, which were also new to me and required a good lesson in how to pull up the news. The last website that helped me in my evaluation was the social networking site Facebook. Having arranged for my band members and class to come together via Facebook, I could easily retrieve information on times and dates. That will be the end of my evaluation, I hope. It gives me a better understanding of what my video and my ancillary tasks were all about.